Did you know that in 1918, Vladimir Lenin survived an assassination attempt that nearly changed the course of world history? It happened just after the Russian Revolution, when Lenin was pushing radical changes that divided the nation. On August 30th, he was shot twice at close range by Fanya Kaplan, a revolutionary who opposed his vision. The bullets hit his neck and shoulder, leaving Lenin gravely wounded. Doctors said the wounds were so severe that he might not live, but he did. And because of that survival, the Soviet Union was able to solidify under his rule. This single event set in motion decades of political shifts, shaping the Cold War and global politics we still feel today. Imagine for a moment, what if Lenin hadn't survived in 1918? Would the Soviet Union have ever risen to power?
Did you know the first victim of the infamous Jack the Ripper was discovered in the early hours of August 31st, 1888? Her name was Marianne Nichols, a 43-year-old woman living in the East End of London. On that dark morning, her lifeless body was found on Bucks Row, brutally murdered. What made this case terrifying was not just the violence, but the mystery surrounding it. Nichols' death marked the beginning of one of history's most chilling murder sprees. Within just a few months, more women were killed in a similar fashion, and the name Jack the Ripper became burned into London's history. Despite thousands of suspects, endless police investigations, and even modern-day forensic studies, the true identity of Jack the Ripper has never been proven. Over 130 years later, Marianne Nichols' tragic death still haunts historians, investigators, and true crime enthusiasts around the world, and the chilling question remains: who really was Jack the Ripper? Some believe he was a doctor. Others say a member of royalty. But the truth, still hidden in the fog of London's past.
Did you know that August is one of the most shocking months in history? Some events that changed the world forever happened in this very month. In August 1945, the world entered the nuclear age when the United States dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, ending World War II, but leaving scars that remain to this day. In August 1963, Martin Luther King Jr. stood before the Lincoln Memorial and delivered his historic "I Have a Dream" speech, a turning point in the civil rights movement. August 1991 marked the collapse of the Soviet Union when a failed coup in Moscow set the stage for the end of one of the most powerful empires of the 20th century. And let's not forget August 1997, when the world was stunned by the tragic death of Princess Diana, an event that shook millions and left a legacy that lives on. From war and tragedy to dreams and revolution, August has been a month where history was rewritten. Which of these moments do you think shocked the world the most?
20 years ago, one of the deadliest hurricanes in American history struck the Gulf Coast. Hurricane Katrina wasn't just a storm. It was a disaster that exposed the strength and the failures of an entire nation. In late August 2005, Katrina made landfall, devastating New Orleans and surrounding areas. Entire neighborhoods were swallowed by water when levees broke, leaving over 1,800 people dead and hundreds of thousands displaced. The images of families stranded on rooftops and the flooded Superdome remain burned into history. But 20 years later, what has changed? New Orleans has rebuilt much of its infrastructure, and stronger levee systems now protect the city. Yet, scars remain. Communities hardest hit, especially the poorest, still bear the impact, and the memory of government mismanagement continues to fuel debate. Katrina wasn't just a natural disaster. It was a wake-up call about inequality, preparedness, and resilience. 2 decades later, the question remains: have we truly learned from it? 20 years later, Katrina is more than a storm. It's a reminder of how fragile we are and how strong we can be. What lesson do you think the world should never forget? Imagine vanishing in plain sight and reappearing years later as a completely different person. That's the bizarre case of Larry Bader. In 1957, Larry Bader rented a boat on Lake Erie. Hours later, it was found capsized. His body was never recovered. Everyone assumed he had drowned. But here's where it gets strange. 8 years later, in Omaha, Nebraska, a man calling himself Fritz Johnson was working as a TV broadcaster, well known for his flashy lifestyle. He even had a wife, kids, and a whole new identity. When he entered an archery competition, someone recognized him. Fingerprints confirmed it. Fritz Johnson was actually Larry Bader, the man who had died nearly a decade earlier. Theories exploded. Was it amnesia, a planned disappearance, or something darker? Tragically, not long after the discovery, Bader was diagnosed with cancer and died in 1966, leaving behind more questions than answers. To this day, Larry Bader's story is one of the most unbelievable vanishings in modern history, because sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction. What do you think? Was it an accident, or did he fake his death? Let me know in the comments.
Imagine walking into a store in 1985 with just $20 and walking out with a cart full of groceries. Try that in 2025 and you'll barely get a bag. In 1985, the average price of a gallon of gas was just $1.12, a movie ticket about $2.75, and the average monthly rent hovered around $375. Fast forward to 2025, and we're looking at gas prices often above $3.50, movie tickets near $15, and rent averaging well over $1,500 in many cities. Back then, a brand new car cost around $8,000, while today the average price of a new car is pushing $48,000. Even McDonald's wasn't safe. A Big Mac meal in the mid-'80s was under $2. Today, expect to pay closer to $10 or more. But here's the shocking part. In 1985, the average yearly income in the U.S. was about $22,000. Today, it's roughly $65,000. So yes, wages have increased, but not at the same pace as the cost of living. The question is, are we actually better off today, or are we just paying more for the same life? Which year would you rather live in, 1985 or 2025?